Welcome everybody to this new release webinar of the June release, so the 06 release. We just released them last Monday in the morning or in the evening, depending on your location. We have a lot of new features to talk about. So I think let's start with the new presentation. Oh, before I forget it, please subscribe to our YouTube channel if you like these videos and you also want to see other videos like this, like the live webinar, but also documentation videos or product release videos and things like that. Also, we're going to change something about the webinar. So this is the last monthly webinar, but I will discuss this after the presentation, what we're going to do. So let's start with the new functionalities. Also, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat so I can see them and answer them. Also, if my sound isn't working because that was the last webinar, please mention that in the chat so I can fix it or check what's missing, but I think it should be up and running. Let's go to HelloID. So for our new feature, recertification disable user, on the disable user, we can go to the admin panel, and let me log in as myself. And before I go to the admin panel, we already had the recertification with the insights. We already had this. So we had the improperly assigned products, where you can see which products are improperly assigned and the reason why. And we have a new reason for this, the reason called not returned on user disabled. And I will create a situation where we have some records after this, but just for your record and to show that currently we don't have any records for reasons that are improperly assigned for users that are disabled. Another thing I want to mention before we're moving on to that scenario is that we currently also have some new filters. So now you can also filter on the user state, the department, the job title, and of course you can search in here. So if I want to say manager, I can find my manager and things like that. So this will really help you because it could be that these are a lot of records, but it will help you in finding the correct records in this whole section. So it's easier to search because you can focus on a particular department or particular function or something like that. So let's go to the admin panel now, and I will describe the situation where an improperly assigned product is thrown with the reason a user disabled. So if we go to the admin portal, and you go to products, and let me change the ANM impact one. You will see here down below we have an option return on user disabled. So this means is when you have a product and which is assigned to a certain user, and the user is disabled by, I don't know, synchronization with Active Directory or synchronization with Azure, or maybe it's just a local HelloID user that is disabled. But in that case, if the user is disabled, it will return the product. So the assignment of the product will be cleared and a task will start to revoke the product from a user. But this is only on the case when the user is disabled. So if I click on this, no jobs will start to revoke the product from current disabled users. And that's also the thing with the most cases of the improperly assigned products, is that we make a change in the configuration, and in that situation a certain user should not have the product anymore. So let me focus on this. So I will save it, and let's go back to the end user screen where we have the recertification. Sorry. My mistake. I have to go to recertification and start a campaign and create a new iteration, of course, because we want to make a new calculation to see those improperly assigned, because I've made a change, so we have to do so let's say changed a user return on user disable on a impact product. So let's start a new iteration, and if we go to the end user, and I will go to the insights again, you will see that it's calculating. So it's doing all this calculation. So based on the new configuration I changed, it will check, are there new improperly assigned products, or are there still some open, because you still have to manually remove them if they are improperly assigned. But we have a report, so that's the first step, of course. Let me check if it's done. Yes, now it's done. So open means that it's closed if you create a new one, and the current one is still open. So always one is open and the other ones are closed. In the case of calculating, of course, it's not, you don't have an open one because it's currently calculating, but it will be open after it's done. So it should be that currently I have not returned on user disable. I have currently 2 records. So that means is that this user is currently disabled, but it has a product assigned. So that's improperly, because we say, okay, the user should be enabled if it has the product. So now I can check, of course, this user, and also you can see here the user is inactive. But I can search for the user, of course, in administration, and remove the assignment from the product myself or manually. Of course, in the future, we want to have a action here that you can revoke the product from that user directly in the report. But currently you have to go to do it manually in administration for the product. So you have to go to admin again and go to self-service administration. Let's search for the user, Koning, and it's not found. Oh, maybe it's searching only products, of course, sorry. So I have to search for here for the person, and here it is. You see it's approved, so I have to go to this and say return the product. I don't want to trigger any emails in this case. Return based on properly assigned, and return the product. If this is the case, the state is changed, but the report is created in the past, so you will still see it here. It should be, and we can test it, of course, if I create a new iteration, so a new report of this certain campaign. Let's go and test. I start a new campaign, and it should say calculating again. It should be that there's now just one left. Open details and go to the reason. Yes. So the next time you run this, it will pick up that you return the product for that user, and it will not be improperly assigned anymore. So with this report, you can clear all those users that are improperly assigned, if you want, of course. You still have the option to do it yes or no, but you can get notified about that. Together with the new filtering, it really helps you check improperly assigned products and help you to governance that whole process. So that's for the changes for service automation. There are 2 other small changes I will not talk about. It's one API change, you can see it in the docs, and a small change in the in the email. But you can check it out in the release notes, but also in the product release videos. But those are really small changes, so I don't want to talk about that too much, because it's kind of small change. So for provisioning, we also did a change there. So let's go to provisioning. And if we go to, what we did is we already had an import for Active Directory, but now for only the account, now you can also import permissions. And I will show a little bit how it works. So we got provisioning here, and we got an evaluation, and if I start my evaluation, I see I have a couple of actions. And it could be that these accounts already exist in my system. Because the first time you're running live, it could be that you already have some accounts in your system. Let me change, and also some account access and permissions. So here you see it takes a lot of actions that the system wants to do. And that's okay, because sometimes HelloID doesn't know the state yet of your external system for Active Directory. And especially with the first run. So what we did is you have an option to import those entitlements from your target system into HelloID. So it creates state. And we already had this for account, but now we have it for permissions. And how does it work? So if I go to import and I select the system, I can import data from Active Directory. Currently only have this for Active Directory. In the future we will have this for PowerShell targets as well. But I can import it. And as you can see, I imported around 1,000 accounts. That's pretty fast. And what it does, it makes a snapshot of your Active Directory system and put it in our cloud. So we can use this information to import the accounts from Active Directory in our states and also permissions. Then we can run an evaluation. So just like I did inside the business evaluation, we have to do that because the scope of this report is built on the published business rules. And if you make any changes, you have to do a evaluation again. So this report will change. So please keep in mind that you can do a setup like I'm going to import the accounts and the permissions for a certain department. Because if I create a business rule for a certain department with all those permissions, I can import it and then go to the next department and import it again. You don't have to import Active Directory again because we have all the accounts in our snapshot that are available. So you just have to run evaluation, and that makes it easier to make this report again and to do multiple imports. But that's not my case. I've done it for a larger set of persons, and in this case, let me create a report. I have 5 accounts that should be imported. 8 of them are disabled and should be enabled, and I got 80 permissions, and that's the new one, the permissions. And how can I see that? How can I see this? Is here I can see for this person we found an account based on the correlation key that you can configure in the target system. And as you can see here, if I press this import entitlement button, we will import the account entitlement, account access entitlement, and 13 permissions. So I can click on this, and here you will see the 13 permissions. And those permissions are based on what actually is in Active Directory. So we just say, okay, you have a desired state in HelloID, you have a state in Active Directory, and we're going to import that from Active Directory, but it's based on the desired state that you configured inside the business rules. So if you don't configure an entitlement inside the business rule, you will not import it. There's also a different situation, and that's something we didn't have previously in the import, is that I can have already imported the account in this case. So there is already account entitlements managed, and you can see this as well in the message. But we have 3 permissions that are in the desired state based on the business rules that are published. But there's also in Active Directory, so we can import those separately from the account. And this is caused because you can do multiple imports, of course. So it could be that you're just importing a permission or maybe account access. This is also new because we didn't have it in the previous version, where you can only import the account access when you also imported an account, but now you can do it separately. And this helps you to get all the state from Active Directory in HelloID from the desired state. Now let me press the import entitlements button, and I will get a message, the summary that I see here. So I think, okay, that's fine. And now if I do an evaluation again, yes, it's imported, right? Oh, sorry, I have to enforce it because it will import the account. So the account is already imported, but we still have an update operation. And if an account is important, you still maybe have the wrong values in the account. So we trigger an update action for that particular account that is imported by the entitlements, and you see the origin is imported. So that means the entitlement was imported, and we start an update action currently. But you don't see in this evaluation, you don't see any permissions that I currently had imported. So no actions are available for the permissions that you saw in, let me check, this evaluation. So here you say, okay, account access, the group membership for the HelloID portal access and things like that. Those are not in this list anymore because they're already imported. So this means is if you run this for the first time, your evaluation, after you configured your desired rules, you can import it, and hopefully only a couple of actions are left. And in this case, the accounts that should be created here are actually accounts that are not in Active Directory. So it's pretty easy to see the accounts that are actually created instead of every create actions for every account or person that you're imported, which was the previous version that we had in the software. You can also twist it a little bit around with the scoping. Just like I mentioned here, or that I have here, is that I've added a group illustrator for, I think it was the manager rule. Let me check if it's there. Manager rule. Yeah, it's here. And what I can do now is if I'm going back again and I do an import again, so I say create a new report for me, I got nothing because I already imported all those things. So it will check actually the state that is in HelloID versus the state in Active Directory. But I can show you how it works because I just assigned the illustrator in Active Directory. So the membership is really in Active Directory. And now I will remove the illustrator group, and I will say publish. And I say unmanaged removed entitlements. So that means is we will lose the state in HelloID for these groups, but the membership is still in Active Directory. So if I publish this, the state should be gone here. And if I go back again to the entitlements and go to import, or sorry, maybe I have to do enforce. Let me do enforce first, just to be clear. So there's no actions anymore. Oh, sorry, and I have to put it back because if I do an import now, you will see there's nothing because the import is designed based on the desired set of the published rules. So I have to go back again here and go to Active Directory on premise. Say I want to say illustrator. Let me assign it again and publish it. And then we go back to the entitlement import. And now if I run an evaluation again and create a report. Oh, sorry, I have to import. Sorry, I have to import AD because I made changes in Active Directory and I have to import it again. My mistake. So now you will see that the state of Active Directory that we just created in HelloID, but we lost it in HelloID because I made a change in the business rules. We lost the state in HelloID. I can import it back again. And if you see here, it will import Illustrator. So with this option, it's pretty also easy if you make a mistake in HelloID. Of course, not a big revoke action in Active Directory, but maybe I've thrown away a business rule and I clicked on the manage option, I can just create it again, do an import, and it will be fine. So I can do an import currently. Wait a second, let me create the evaluation, and you can see that it will start actions to add the Illustrator group. But again, if I go to entitlements and do an import, go back to the evaluation and do it again, you'll see that my evaluation report is empty. And that's because the state of Active Directory is imported in HelloID. So this is a really powerful feature, I think, for Active Directory, because you can just import Active Directory and everything you can assign through the business rules, you can import through the entitlement import, and you will see the actual actions we do on the system itself. And you can do this anytime. There's no limit on it. The only limit is you can only import Active Directory once per hour. So that's the only limit. Let me check if there are any questions. No, I don't think there are any questions. So these are the new functionality in HelloID for this release. Hopefully you liked the webinar. So don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon if you want to get notified about these videos, but also the product release videos that are available 1 week before the production version is live. So you can, we have a preview environment as well. Those new features are in there. If you really want to check them out, you can request a preview environment. But thank you for watching. Just a mention, like I mentioned in the beginning, this is the last monthly webinar for the release. So we want to change it a little bit up, because we noticed that these features that are not that small, but sometimes it's really difficult to explain a small feature which is part of a larger feature in a small period of time, without explaining the whole big picture. So what we're going to do, instead of a monthly webinar, we're going to do a quarterly webinar, or a webinar when there's a big topic available. So as an example, the import that I just mentioned, it consists of 2 features, I think, with a couple of releases between it. Sometimes it's good to talk about the whole import feature instead of only the permission part. And we do a topic on that, or maybe a topic on reconciliation, where we currently are busy with developing, or recertification, as I just mentioned, a little part of it. So we're going to change it up a little. You will get a notification, I think, in the next couple of weeks that we change this up. But I want to inform you that this is the last monthly webinar for the release. You still have the product release videos, and this webinar is pretty close to the product release videos, with the only differences that you can ask questions. But we will save them for the topic webinar. Let's call it like that. So thank you for watching, and let me check the questions once again. If there are any questions about the new setup of the webinar. No, there aren't. Then thank you again, and till the next time.